everybody, welcome back to episode 2 of the Real Life Superhero Saga. Exciting time. So if you haven't seen episode 1, please go back and watch that. These are designed so that you get as much value as possible, even if you watch them individually, but you are going to get more value if you do watch them in order because there is a syntax to them and an overarching sort of story to them that's going to help us transform into the person we want to be. So let's just dive right in here. So at the end of episode 1, what we talked about was what a real life superhero basically is. And we find that someone's unique, they're special, they're unique, they're different, and they harness that uniqueness and they use it to stand for something and to help others. So as promised, I'm going to talk to you today about how to become a real life superhero. And the very first step in doing that is, number 1, harnessing your uniqueness. But in order to harness your uniqueness, we first need to find it. So I know we've all heard that expression that we're a unique snowflake, but that actually is true. It is a fundamental law of nature that no one on this planet is the exact same as you. And so we need to find out what's different and then use that to strengthen that and to contribute to the world in a way that literally no one else can. So that's the exciting part of this. That's what this episode is called, is your uniqueness. So I'll dive right in here. Excuse me. So there's something called the Eulerian Destiny that helped me a lot figure out sort of what is unique about me and where my strengths and weaknesses lie, and then sort of how I can leverage that to live my life in a way that is best to serve the world in some way, right? And how to become a real life superhero, we really need to do that. So I'll dive right in here. First, it's called the Eulerian Destiny. And so this concept is crucial to understanding ourselves, and understanding ourselves is crucial to being the best that we can be. So Eulerian Destiny, and what this is basically is, I know you've always seen Venn diagrams. So you've got 4 circles. Make sure I draw this correctly. So we basically got 4 circles, and each one of these circles represents a question. And I'm going to basically highlight those questions for you, but where our uniqueness lies is right here in the center. So I want to highlight that. Where all of these intersect is going to be your uniqueness. And so I'm going to number these 1 through 4, and I'm going to talk about each of them. And so number 1 is what you grew up around. What you grew up around. So basically what your childhood was like. And this can include anything and everything you can possibly think of. For example, what you grew up around could be, maybe your parents were very educated, maybe they were very uneducated, maybe you grew up in the suburbs, maybe you grew up in the city, maybe you grew up playing basketball, maybe you grew up playing golf, maybe you grew up, I don't know, reading books, whatever it might be. There's something that you were doing a lot of growing up, or being exposed to a lot of growing up, that really is important in this whole process. So one example that I'll use is like Oprah Winfrey. And don't worry if there's trauma in your past, because traumas actually can be useful. And if you've ever heard that term, make your mess your message. Like Oprah Winfrey, for example, she had a very, very traumatic childhood that I won't get into, but basically she now lives for a mission and a purpose. She's what I would consider a huge real life superhero, right? Oprah Winfrey. And she basically makes sure that all of her services and things that she provides to the world is information on how to better themselves and try to make sure that, you know, trouble within the household and some of the abuses that she underwent aren't happening anymore. And that's really her mission and her message. So again, even if there are traumatic things in your past, whether it be alcoholism or drug use and family, stuff like that, write it all down, right? As much as you can, 5 to 10 things at minimum, because this is going to really give you a good idea of where your uniqueness is when you find out where all these 3 things, or 4 things rather, intersect. So number 1 is what you grew up around. Number 2 is stranger feedback. And so what stranger feedback is basically like, so our family, our parents, you know, our siblings and stuff, they tend to like, you know, want to not take wind out of our sails, they want to give us confidence and self-esteem, so they'll say that we're really good at things even when we're maybe sometimes not that great at them, you know, that positive reinforcement. But stranger feedback tells us like, what if people randomly come up to you and say, listen, you are so good at this, or you really have this quality that I really admire, or, you know, what compliments have you gotten from people that don't know you? Because they're being honest, they have no reason to butter you up or to make you feel good, right? Because they don't know you. So one example that I always use is, I remember I was at a bar with one of my best friends, his name's Ryan Moore, he's out in LA and he's trying to become a movie star and an actor through the art of storytelling. And I remember back even when we were in college, we would go out together and stuff like that. And I swear to God, this happened multiple times, blew my mind. People would literally come up to him, they've never met him in his entire life, and they're like, are you a movie star? Do you want to be an actor? Are you going to be an actor? Like, and I would just be like, no one ever comes up to me and asks me that. So obviously whatever vibes he's giving off, maybe it's his look, you know, it's stranger feedback. So he has the look, and he has those vibes, those actor vibes, or whatever you want to call them. So that's one good example of some stranger feedback. So what have strangers said about you that you could maybe use to learn a little bit more about yourself, that you can harness your uniqueness? So that's number 2. Number 3, we've got past 5 to 10 years. Now, if you're a little younger, do 5 years. If you're probably 25 and up, you probably do the last decade. So what the past 5 to 10 years is basically what have you been doing? What's your job? What were you learning, right? If you're in college, what's your major? In high school, what's your favorite subject? What sports do you play, right? Everything you possibly can. What have you been doing for the last 5 to 10 years? For me, for example, you know, the last 5 to 10 years, I used to work for a company called Cognex. I was on the road, you know, managed all of England, and I was basically giving presentations to CEOs and different manufacturing facilities to sell them machine vision equipment. So sales, entrepreneurship. I started a company called Campus Libre back in the day. Back when I was in school, I gave a lot of presentations. So again, when I did this process, I would go the last 5 to 10 years, I was very, very, very social, lots of presentations, lots of entrepreneurship, right? So again, none of these things are coincidences. What I'm doing now, again, is a result of me going through this process and realizing where my uniqueness is so that I can find it and then just harness it. So again, that's number 3. What have you been doing for the last 5 to 10 years? Anything and everything that you can think of. And eventually these dots will connect once you get sort of lists going. One thing that I do want to mention is once we're done with this, you guys can email me your lists, and I'd be absolutely happy to give you my thoughts on what I think you might love to do and also be very, very good at. Especially, right, because there's what you love to do and could be good at, and then there's what the world needs, and how do we integrate the two so that you can live a successful life by helping others and become a real life superhero. So again, that's what this process is all about. Self-reflection is absolutely critical to start this whole transformational process. And so I'll go right into number 4 here. Number 4 is what do you love to talk about with friends on a Friday or Saturday night? This is like, what are you most passionate about? I mean, somehow this conversation always comes up. So yeah, what do you like to talk about most? I'll just put what do you love. For me, fitness, movies, entrepreneurship, learning is a big one, right? I'm an educator and I love to learn, reading, things like that. For you, what do you love most in the world, right? What are you most passionate about? One of the examples I always use for this one is I have a buddy, Ryan Bliss, who actually helped me with this camera setup and everything, 'cause he's a director. And me and him grew up together, and all we ended up talking about was movies all the time. And this kid's name's Ryan Bliss, he talks about movies all the time. Everything, you know, is movies, and that's awesome because I love movies too. But that's why, so, you know, he's a director. He literally creates movies. He works for Harvard Business School as a director as well, and then he creates his own movies on the side. So he did this self-reflecting process. He realizes that his number one, passion in life is movies. And I cannot stress it enough. It's like that Steve Jobs quote. He says, if you don't love what you do, you're always going to suck at it, because any sane person would not put in the work necessary to become great at something if they didn't love it, right? So if you truly love what you do, you never work another day in your life. And I know that sounds corny, but it's actually true. And if you can find a way, we live in a world now where if you're good enough at something and passionate enough about something, you can bring that to the world and find a way to help others with it in a way that was never possible prior to a lot of technologies that emerged in the last decade. So again, this is huge. So do not take this too seriously. Just write. It's brainstorm, right? It's brainstorm. Think of anything and everything you could possibly write down for these 4 questions. Number 1, what did you grow up around? What were your parents like? What were your siblings like? What was the environment like? Where did you live? What did you do? What schools did you go to? What subjects were you doing? So what did you grow up around? What did your parents do for a living? Right? Things like that. What were your aunts and uncles like? Number 2, stranger feedback. What if people come up to you that you don't even know and say, wow, you're really great at this, or oh my goodness, you have a great baseball swing, or you're great at golf, or wow, you look really good, you have a nice smile, right? Something like that. So and that's number 2. Number 3, what have you been doing for the last 5 to 10 years? If you're younger, go with 5 years. And if you're older, a little older, like my age, 27 or so, or you're older than that, dude, what have you done for the last decade, right? Because that's all relevant. It's not a coincidence. We naturally go towards the things that we're most passionate about, and we naturally avoid the things that we dislike the most. And the key to this whole process is to become conscious of where we're headed and where we want to go and what we're doing based on who we are now, not who we were 10 years ago, right? So that's what this is about. This is about finding out what you're most suited for and using that, leveraging that. That's going to be your superpower as a real life superhero. So number 4, what do you love? What are you most passionate about? For me, it's talking to people, it's conversations, and that's why I'm a public speaker. It's educating people, learning. I'm so unbelievably passionate about learning. I read books constantly, I'm watching seminars constantly, I learn, and I learn from conversation constantly. I have calls set up with all of my inner circle all the time where we're just learning from each other. And that's why I do what I do, right? I also love entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is huge for me, so now, that's what this is about. This center of these 4 questions is going to give you a clue of not only what you're best at and best suited for based on your past and your present, but also what you love the most. So that's what episode 2 is all about. This is your assignment, right? Just answer these 4 questions, give 5 to 10 bullets per question. Don't take it too seriously, just write whatever you think of. The first thing that comes to mind, you can vet it later. And remember, this is your list. Don't worry about it, right? You can rip up this list afterwards if you don't like what you see, and you can make a new list later, right? You don't have to run the same script. So again, episode 2, a little quicker than episode 1, because I wanted to add the data, I wanted to give you a lot of food for thought. This is the assignment right here in order to find your uniqueness. And once you have all 4 of these questions answered thoroughly, you can email them to me, and or just take a step back, look at them, and say, okay, what is this really telling me? Where do all the dots connect? Where are all these things pointing? What's relevant, And this is the crucial part. This is going to show us what we're best suited for and what we love most. And this is what we love the most and what we're best suited for. This is what the world needs. Let's find a way to integrate those 2, and that's what the further episodes are going to do. So, yeah, episode 2, real life superheroes. I'll leave you on this. Remember, there's a superhero in all of us. Find your uniqueness, harness it. After all, this world can say itself. #ALAZ out.